Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. The video for today, this is a video that has me pissed off. I'm very annoyed right now because of what I just saw on body camera. What we're going to watch today is going to be a police officer and that police officer's supervisor who agree to charge somebody with a crime even though they don't have probable cause to charge them with that crime, and they use that as a guise to seize his property. That is 100% a violation of the law, and it's a violation of this person's rights. It pisses me off for a variety of reasons because I don't like seeing that. One of the other sad things about this case is the man that we're going to be talking about is this young man named Timothy. I believe he's 18 years old based on things that he's going to say in the video today. And Timothy is a young man that would like to be a police officer one day. So he definitely has a positive idea of what police officers are. He admires and has a certain level of admiration for police officers. But on this particular day, he's being charged with impersonating a police officer simply because some of the equipment in his car is the same kind of equipment that police officers use. I take exception to this. So the way I heard about this particular story was one of my subscribers sent me an email. And in the email, he said, hey, I have a friend. It's actually a friend of a friend who was recently charged with impersonating a police officer because he has a taser in his car that was formerly property of, I believe it was the New Hampshire State Police. He said he was pulled over and police officers saw the taser. They decided to seize the taser and they charged him with impersonating a police officer. He went ahead and requested the body camera footage and provided it to me, asked me for my opinion. I watched the video and it only took me a couple of seconds to realize that these police officers incorrectly drummed up charges. The more I watched the video, the more pissed off I became. We're going to go over the video quite promptly here. The very first part of the video that I want to show you is actually towards the end of the video, right before they let this guy go. They basically admit, hey, you weren't actually impersonating an officer, but we're going to charge you anyway. And part of that same line is when the kid says, hey, you know what's really sad about this is that I actually want to be a police officer someday. So that's where we are going to start the video, just to kind of prime the pump and make sure everybody's kind of tracking what I'm saying here.
We're going to work with you since you aren't wearing a uniform or anything right now. You weren't actively impersonating.
One of the best fucking part about this.
What's that?
I'm trying to be a cop when I turn 21.
Okay.
Alrighty, so I can't remember if I already mentioned it, but this was an incident where they pulled him over. They initially saw him because they thought he was speeding. They got behind him. He didn't have a license plate. So they made their approach on his car, had a little conversation, and observed that he had some police equipment in the backseat of his car. They have a conversation at the window, but then the officer pulls Timothy out of his car, pulls him off to the side, and says, now, what the heck is really going on? Why do you have police equipment in your car? In my career as a police officer, I have never seen this kind of stuff in a car. And listen to Timothy's justification for why he has this stuff.
All right. So, why are you walking around with tasers?
Because I'm not 21.
Okay.
And so, it's better than pepper spray, because that shit burns like hell. Then pepper spray, that shit hurts. So I wanted to know what it felt like, so I did that myself. That shit hurts, and the wind. Tasers is 15 feet. Did
you say you pepper sprayed yourself?
I've been pepper sprayed before because me and my friends were like, "Hey, you want to fucking figure out?" I was like, "Sure, why the hell not?" Yeah, you sure you know that sucks.
Yeah. So
yeah, I did that and shit hurts. And then the tasers, they have like 15 feet on them, at least civilian ones.
Okay.
We have 15 feet, so that's what I use as an alternative to a handgun because I legally cannot own one.
Okay. But then you're riding around with a shotgun in the back of your car?
Yeah, because parents, the one I live with, they don't want the gun in the house. So I'm like, all right, I can keep it in the car. Ammunition's not in the trunk, it's in the cabin.
Okay.
I know that's where it's supposed to be kept. There's like 35 rounds in there. So.
Okay.
So, you know, and the thing's not loaded. It's in the trunk, and there's.
I gotcha.
It's sitting right there.
Okay. And then the radio system you have in there, you said it has sirens on it?
We don't fucking use it.
Okay.
Because we couldn't find a peak, so I work at O'Reilly, so we get cheap shit for like expensive shit.
Yeah.
Like cheap. That's like originally $300. Got for like $100.
Okay.
So we used it for the PA and then the loud ass horn. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you mind if we just take a look in the car, make sure it's all what you're saying it is, and there's nothing else in there?
Shouldn't be anything else. I've thrown shit in there, yeah. There's no drugs or anything, because I don't do drugs.
Okay.
If you want to check, go ahead.
Okay.
Alrighty, so they pull him out of the car and they say, why do you have these tasers, first of all? And he's like, well, I needed something to defend myself. I'm not 21. I won't be 21 until 2026. Therefore, in order to defend myself, I bought a taser. You know, I have 15 feet. It's some good standoff, blah, blah, blah. Goes on a little back and forth about why he doesn't like to use mace. This all seems reasonable to me. This is an 18-year-old kid. He's allowed to defend himself. He's not allowed to carry a pistol. Why not let him carry a taser? I don't have a problem with this. I'm not aware of any laws preventing citizens from having a taser. Then the officer also, challenges him for having a shotgun in his trunk. The kid gives his explanation for why he has a shotgun in a trunk, but why does it matter? The kid is not doing anything illegal. Nothing that he's describing is illegal or suspicious. Then he also has a siren box in his car. And the kid explained already that he works at an O'Reilly's auto parts store, and he wanted a PA system and a louder horn for his car. He found this one that happened to be an old police model, and it was a lot cheaper. It was like $200 cheaper than all the other models. So he installed that on his car. In the long form version of the video, they ask if he has a siren, and they tested it out. He says, yeah, but I never use it. And the officers didn't see him using it. They didn't see him doing any of these things. All they have found is that he has this equipment in his car. That is not enough to make somebody impersonating a police officer. Now, they did ask for permission to search his car. He gave them permission to search his car, which I would recommend against doing in this case, particularly if officers are asking you incriminating style questions. I would not give them permission to search my car, but he did. So they went ahead and they searched the car, and the only thing that they found is the stuff that they already knew. They knew he had a shotgun in the trunk. They knew he had a couple of tasers, and that's where we have it. So after the officer searches the car, he goes and tells Timothy, you know what, go ahead and grab a seat. I'm going to go talk to my supervisor. He and the supervisor talk. He then goes and sits down in the cruiser and uses his cruiser camera to look up the law. He wants to know, what does it actually say about impersonating a police officer? The sad thing is, we're going to sit here and listen to him say the law to his supervisor, and then she's going to turn around and say, well, he wasn't actually impersonating a police officer, but he has all that equipment. Is there a law that prevents somebody from having this equipment in their car? And he's like, no, not really. And then that's when she's going to say, well, unfortunately, if we want to confiscate his equipment, we're going to have to charge him with a crime. So they come to the decision they're going to charge him with impersonating a police officer for the sole purpose of taking his equipment. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. So just for your own benefit, I'm going to play that part for you now.
Right. That's the issue, is he's not actively doing anything, but he has all the equipment to actively do something.
And read those sections again. Is there anything in there about nothing for just being in possession?
Not that I see. I mean, to act part of, this is just the impersonate section. To act part of, assume the identity of, wear the uniform or any part of a uniform of, or display the identification of a particular person or of a member of a class of persons with purpose to make another person believe that the actor is that particular person.
So thus far in the interaction, all they have is they have an 18-year-old kid who's in possession of a couple of tasers and has a radio box in his car and is like a police enthusiast. They haven't found him actually doing anything. They haven't received any reports of a young man driving a Toyota Corolla or Camry, whatever it is that he's driving, impersonating a police officer. Nobody has called in saying that he's tried to pull them over. He's not wearing a uniform of a police officer. The only thing he has is a couple of black tasers. And they chose to go ahead and charge him with a crime. Now, this part that I'm going to show you, this is probably the saddest part for me of this video, is when they go up and they inform him that he is now going to be charged with impersonating a police officer. Remember, this is a young man who has the goal of becoming a police officer someday. And here is a police officer that pulls him over and says, you know what? I see that you have a lot of police-related stuff in your car. Since you have a lot of stuff in your car, I'm going to charge you with impersonating a police officer. And then just watch Timothy's reaction.
I'm not.
All right, so here's what's going to happen.
I'm fucking terrified.
We're going to be confiscating everything, okay? You are going to be getting charged with impersonating. We aren't going to take you to jail, okay? All right? It's going to be a misdemeanor, okay?
I got it.
So you're going to have a mandatory court date, but we're not going to take you to jail, okay?
That's not even... Can I rip this out real quick? Just fucking rip it out?
We'll get it all out of there.
I can rip it off right now.
Yeah, he wants to unhook that.
It's just fucking held on.
Okay, yeah, you can hook it. Unhook it.
So then the last part of the video there is when, you know, they serve him with his pay. Well, they didn't serve him in the video that I showed you, but they told him that he was going to be arrested. He broke down in tears. This kid is being traumatized by these officers. This is a horrible experience for him. I feel horrible for Tim in this situation. He should not have to go through this. This is not what police officers are paid to do. We're not here to take people and harass them because of the property that they own. That is explicitly the reason that the Constitution was written in the way that it was written. The really sad thing about what we just saw is, of course, you know, the way he's been treated and everything, but the officer also admitted, you know, we're going to work with you here because you weren't actively impersonating a police officer when I caught you. What that means is he just admitted on body camera to his arrestee that he's charging him even though he doesn't have probable cause to support the charge that he's writing. That really pisses me off.
Okay. We're going to work with you since you aren't wearing uniform or anything right now. You weren't actively impersonating.
One of the best fucking part about this.
What's that?
I'm trying to be a cop when I turn 21.
Okay.
The other thing that the officer says, I'll include it like right here towards the end, is he says, you know, we're going to go ahead and charge you. We're going to take all of your property. We're going to send it to the proper room. And when you go to court, the judge will decide whether or not we had enough to charge you and if that was the appropriate thing. If you're found not guilty, you can get your stuff back. That's not how our court is supposed to work. That's not the relationship between a police officer and the court and how that's supposed to work. A police officer is going to say, you know what? I have probable cause. I'm going to file this charge. You should be confident in the charge that you're filing. Say, you know what? I've got 51% certainty that this guy is impersonating a police officer. I'm going to write that charge. I'm going to make him go to court. Now, a judge might look at that and say, you know what? You had probable cause to charge him, but in order to convict him, we need 100% certainty. And I don't believe it's 100% certainty, so we're going to dismiss the charge. That's not the approach that this officer and the supervisor took, and you shouldn't be using the courts to validate or invalidate your probable cause.
So basically, this is all going to be taken and put in our evidence room as evidence towards you being impersonating an officer, okay?
Yeah.
If it goes to court and they feel that this does not fit impersonating a police officer, you'll get all of your belongings back.
I don't want all of it back. I just want the tasers.
Okay, well, that's up to you. You can come back to our evidence room and get whatever you want if you're found not guilty, okay?
I want to close this video with a message directly to Timothy, the young man who was the star of today's video. First of all, I want to say, Timothy, I'm sorry that you went through this. I'm sorry for the embarrassment that you endured and everything that you went through being without your property and your ability to defend yourself for almost a month's time while you waited for trial and you were able to get your stuff back. The officers or the officer and the supervisor that did this to you, they do not represent our profession. They are ill-equipped and ill-trained to do their job. And it's unfortunate they are out there victimizing citizens like you. The raw body camera, or the large portion of the body camera that I saw that I'm going to release at a later date, I will be forwarding that to multiple people that I know that are in charge of police training or run police training businesses, and they train police officers across the state and across the country. And I'm going to ensure that the video and the incident that happened to you and the way these officers acted, I'm going to ensure that they are made an example of in training across the country from here on out as examples of what not to do. I think that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you later.